Hey everybody, back to talk to you guys. It's April 7th, so make sure you take out a new sheet of paper and write 4-7. Remember, staying organized is going to be key through the month of April, so make sure you're writing your dates down and then again filling out those Google Forms if they're on your classroom stream. So just kind of be reading that as well and see if you guys need anything from me. Let me know. All right, you guys, we're gonna continue with square roots today, but we're gonna be talking about square roots with variables. We did numbers yesterday. Let's see about variables today. So number one, if we have the square root of x to the 8th. Now there's a long way to do it and then a short way to do it. So we're gonna do the long way first. The long way is you would have to write out all those x's. It would actually be a square roots. And you'd have x times 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 x. I think that's 8 of them. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. But what we're doing is we're looking for pairs. So here's a pair of x's. Come outside. Pair of x's. Come outside. Pair of x's. Come outside. And a pair of x's. Come outside. So on the outside, I would have x times x times x times x, and a square roots, none would be left in the square root. So I don't have to worry about the square root, and I have x to the 4th. Okay, so you guys, when we look at it though, if we kind of circle it, we look at we're doing groups of 2. That's an elementary concept. When you try to take a whole number and break them into equal groups, it's called division. So for variables, you actually get to divide by 2 because you're looking for pairs. So 8 divided by 2 works out nicely. There are 4 x's on the outside and there are none left over. Now, if there's an odd number that doesn't divide as easy, if it doesn't divide evenly, then what you get is you're just going to have a remainder or 1 left in there. So you guys, the short way is just to take your exponent and divide it by 2 because you're looking for groups of 2 or pairs. All right, so you guys, I'll show you the short way to do number 2. Number 2 is square root of x to the 7th. All right, now I'm going to do the long way here in a second so we can check our answer. But that means there's 7 x's. So if you had 7 x's and you were trying to find groups of 2, you could divide it by 2. So what you can do is go back and do long division like you did in your elementary days. So we do 7 divided by 2. And when we do 7 divided by 2, it fits into it 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. And 1 is the remainder. Well, 3 is what gets to come on the outside. 1 is what stays inside your radical. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space to prove the work to you there. But I think I should have x to the 3rd, because 3 come out, square root symbol, x to the 1st, because there's 1 remainder. Now, let's see if that way does work. Well, I could write all 7 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 x's being multiplied together. And I'm going to look for pairs and singles, right? So a pair of x's gets to come outside. A pair of x's gets to come outside. And a pair of x's gets to come outside. And this single guy has to stay trapped underneath the radical. And now you might see where the 3 remainder 1 visually up there. The 3 represents the 3 x's that get to come outside, and the 1 represents the remainder. All right, if you have to write down all the x's, you can do that, but just know that since you're looking for groups of 2 or pairs, it's division by 2. All right, you guys, numbers 3 and 4, and then we'll be done for the day before your independent practice, or we still call it homework, but all of it's at home, I guess, because these e-learning days. So number 3, oops, get my black pen here. I can do numbers and variables together. So I have square root of 30, x to the 11th, y to the 8th. just like we did yesterday. I'm really hoping square root of 30 is perfect because then I don't have to do the factor tree for it. But square root of 30 is a decimal. So when there's variables involved, I don't ever do the decimal or rounded answer. I try the exact. 30 is an even number. It's 2 is a prime times 15. To break down 15, it's a prime number of 3 and a prime number of 5. That's my prime factorization. So I notice that none of it gets to come outside. So I can actually start off my answer. I can have an outside part, square root, and an inside part. All right, see guys, the 2 times 3 times 5 or 30 all stays in there. None of the number came out. Now we can hopefully do our quick way. If you need to write 11x's, you can. But I know 11 divided by 2 is 5 with a remainder of 1. Since it's 5, I put x to the 5th on the outside, and since it's a remainder of 1, I still have an x on the inside. Now, y to the 8th? Well, I take 8, and I want to take 8 y's and break them up into pairs or groups of 2. 8 divided by 2 is a nice answer of 4. That means I have y to the 4th, and there are none left in there because there was no remainder, and I simplified my radical. Again, if you need to write down 11x's, circle a pair, you can do that. Same thing with the y to the 8th. All right, last one, number 4. So we have square root of 12x y to the 13th. 12 is not a perfect square root. If you type the square root of 12 in your calculator, it's a decimal, so I have to break it down. 2 is a prime number times 6. 6 breaks down prime number of 2 times prime number of 3. Now we look for pairs, okay? So we got a pair of 2's. So a pair of 2's gets to come outside as a single 2, but this 3 stays trapped. So I can kind of set up my answer right now. I got outside, square root, and I got inside. Well, a 2 is on the outside, and a 3 is on the inside. But I'm not done because I got to talk about my variables. Now, this is x to the 1st. Well, he doesn't have a pair. And 1 divided by 2 is just a decimal answer. So in elementary school, your teacher wouldn't even have gave you that. So because the remainder would be 1. So x to the 1st stays inside. Now, you can write down 13 y's and pair them up and bring them out with arrows, or you can divide by 2. 13 divided by 2 is 6 remainder 1. So the 6 is on the outside, y to the power of 6, and the remainder of 1, or y to the power of 1, is on the inside. And that is your answer. All right, you guys are going to have 4 homework or independent practice problems today. I'll write them underneath here. So, we got number 1. You're going to do the square root of a to the power of 15. Number 2. You're going to have the square root of 36 x squared y to the 3rd. Number 3. You're going to have the square root of 10x to the 6th. Number 4. You're going to have the square roots of 20 x to the 29th y squared. And that square root should be there. So you guys, at this time, you can pause the video, write down all your homework problems or independent practice problems. Make sure you're reaching out to me on Google Classroom, Google Hangouts, emails, something like that, if you really need help. Other than that, you guys, I hope you guys have a great day. It's your boy, Mr. P. Have a great day.